So we will get underway and we'll get started with our news conference. The remarks I'm going to read will take me a little less than 10 minutes to read. So once I'm done with those, then we'll do some Q&A and that'll really be it. So let me go ahead and get started. So my name is Jerry Cox. I'm Executive Director of Family Council Action Committee, and we are a conservative organization based here in Little Rock. We are here today to urge the people of Arkansas to vote against Marijuana Issue 3. Marijuana Issue 3 is the medical marijuana amendment of 2024 that may or may not be on the ballot when people vote in just a few days. The fate of this amendment rests with the Arkansas Supreme Court, who will probably rule sometime this week on whether the measure will actually qualify for the ballot. While we are waiting for the court to issue their ruling, we thought we should go ahead and come out and talk about this issue and help the people of Arkansas to better understand what Issue 3 is about in case they do end up voting on it next week. So first of all, let me say this. You will hear the supporters of Issue 3 say that it is about expanding patient access to medical marijuana. Don't believe the lie. This amendment was written by the marijuana industry for their benefit, not the benefit of people that use medical marijuana. Let me point out that medical marijuana is legal in Arkansas and has been legal for 8 years. Patients who need medical marijuana can get it. Over 100,000 people have medical marijuana cards in Arkansas right now. Access is not a problem. So, if Issue 3 is not really about medical marijuana and it's not really about patient access, then what's it really about? And that's a question that every voter should ask. What is this about? Now, this proposed amendment makes over 30 changes to the Arkansas Constitution. 30 changes. I'm only going to focus on 3 things today, but there's plenty to talk about that this measure does that will be harmful to the people of Arkansas. So let me tell you the 3 things that I plan to talk about today. Number 1 is the fact that this amendment was written by the marijuana industry to give themselves a monopoly. That's the first point. The second point is that this amendment repeals and eliminates almost all the restrictions that we have in current law regarding marijuana advertising and how marijuana products are packaged when it comes to being appealing to children. And so that's the second point. The third point is that this measure gives away free marijuana cards to anyone, including people from out of state, including illegal immigrants. Anyone from anywhere can come here and get a free marijuana card funded at taxpayer expenses. So let's take each of these points, and I'm going to touch on each one, and then I'll tell you about our campaign. So, with every amendment, voters should always ask, who's behind it? And when you ask that question about medical marijuana Issue 3, you find that the marijuana industry is funding the campaign. In fact, they crafted the amendment. And you know, they did the same thing 2 years ago, where the industry wrote an amendment to the Arkansas Constitution to give themselves a marijuana monopoly. And 2 years ago, the people of Arkansas saw through that and they voted it down. And it's our hope that people will understand that this is the same song, second verse, with the industry creating for itself a monopoly that cannot be undone except with another constitutional amendment. All you have to do is look at the financial reports. The marijuana industry has already raised $2 million and spent most of it just trying to get this measure on the ballot. The second point about advertising. You know, we don't have marijuana advertising for the most part here in Arkansas. You don't see marijuana ads on your phone. You don't see marijuana ads on TV. You don't see people advertising marijuana the way we do casinos, the way we might do with other products. You know, the reason for that is because our current marijuana amendment and laws put barriers up to prevent marijuana advertising. If issue 3 passes, those barriers are torn down, and there's a wide open opportunity for the marijuana industry to begin advertising marijuana whenever they choose. Now, I know people may say, well, we'll do some ads that aren't appealing to children. But if it's an ad, kids are going to see it, aren't they? And we've already been extremely concerned about what kids are seeing on their phones. Imagine them seeing marijuana ads on their phones. And what kind of message that sends to them? And what does that do to the next generation of kids coming up? That's bad enough. But for some strange reason, Issue 3 repeals the child-proof packaging standards that are required in the current marijuana amendment and are required under the regulations. And I have no idea why they decided to change that part of the law, but they do. And if Issue 3 passes, then those child-proof testing and packaging standards go away, along with requirements that the packages not be designed in a way that's appealing to children. In other words, they're not supposed to be colorful with the marijuana edibles and all that. And all that goes away. That's obliterated if this measure passes. And then finally, the last point is that the marijuana cards. I don't know how many of you have been to LA recently. I was out there just the other day. I've seen the homeless camps. I've seen what drug addiction can do to an entire city, a state, a society. Imagine Arkansas being a place where people can get free marijuana cards to use marijuana here in our state. And what that might do to certain communities where people congregate. Imagine illegal immigrants being able to come here and get a free marijuana card. What does that do to our state, and what kind of message does that send to the rest of the country where Arkansas becomes this marijuana drug use destination? Let me say this again. This measure is not a referendum on medical marijuana. We already have medical marijuana. People who are sick and need it can get it. 100,000 people have the cards. That program is working as intended. What What issue 3 does is just turn that upside down and creates this chaotic situation where the legislature can't regulate it, where certain things are written into stone in our Constitution and cannot be changed. And the great beneficiary of that are the current marijuana growers and sellers here in Arkansas. Now, what do we intend to do about this? Let me close by telling you a little bit about our campaign.